A little while ago, we here at Windrush Wargamers were contacted by our pal John from JMAC's Armies of Middle-earth. He asked us to participate in a community collaboration, along with Cam from Paints on a 4-Up. Partially inspired by this classic White Dwarf article, the task was for each of us to choose one of the fiefdoms and create a warband to represent them on the tabletop. Once they were all completed, we could pack them up and ship them off to the land down under so that Zorpazorp could use them in a bat rep. The tone and feel of the miniatures would be completely down to us. So here's what we came up with.
I'm Nick from Windrush Wargamers, and I've done the Ringlo Vale.
They're seldom mentioned in the book, only that they're a small force who aren't accompanied by their lord, since he's off fighting Umbar pirates with the bulk of his men. Instead, his son Dervarin is their commander. This gave me carte blanche to define their look and tactics as I saw fit. The end result was a fresh-faced group of yeomen who aren't used to open battle.
Yeah, I like the idea that they're from like a really sort of rich trading hub area. Basically, the idea is these guys are like yeomen, they're like sort of river police rather than actual sort.
Dervarin, eldest son of the Lord of the Ringlo Vale, leads a scant 300 hardy volunteers to help defend Minas Tirith. The Ringlo Vale is described as being a well-populated valley that is home to the Ringlo River, a popular trade route. This, coupled with the fact that the forces who went to Minas Tirith were not the main standing army from the region, led me to flavour them as a well-equipped group of watchmen, with no battle experience to speak of. I primarily achieved this look with a simple head swap, replacing the heads of Gondor Rangers as well as third-party Rohan archers with official Minas Tirith warrior heads. This was so that, regardless of how they looked, there would be a recognisably Gondorian aspect to them. For the Bannerbearer and Hornblower, I did the same thing with the Metal Blackroot Vale Command. The hero, Dervarin, is an unconverted Ranger of the North proxy designed by The Printing Goes Ever On. He has such a casually commanding pose, and his lack of a helmet really sets him apart from his men. I went for spearmen and archers without heavy armour to drive home that they're guardsmen, not professional soldiers. In terms of crunch, Dervarin, Reaver of the Ringlo Vale, is a reskinned Captain of Gondor, equipped with a spear, and with the Shield Wall special rule, replaced by a Hatred Umbar, for 60 points. His men are a little more complicated. You see, the warriors of Minas Tirith have heavy armour and the Shield Wall rule, since they're meant to be massed units of heavy infantry. Also, I didn't want to use the other fiefdoms infantry as a base, since they're more like specialised, highly trained warriors who fill a specific niche. So in order to sell the idea that these boys are a ragtag bunch of misfits, the Ringlo Vale yeomen are based on the warriors of Rohan, with spears instead of shields as optional war gear, throwing spears as standard, and of course the Rohan keyword replaced with Gondor, for 8 points. Since the fiefdoms has a recurring theme of soldiers getting a little bonus for being near their lord, within 3 inches of Dervarin they gain a +1 to their wound rolls with throwing spears. So even though he's just a hero of fortitude, Dervarin is doing his part to bolster his lads. The colour scheme is partially based on the one from the article, with this early costume test for the garrison of Dale from the Hobbit movies influencing the brass Gondorian helmets. The red cloaks really pop, and this screen test of Luke Evans as Girion made me want to throw some burgundy in there. I think the burgundy and brass fittings help to illustrate that the Ringlo Vale is an affluent trading hub. If these guys are essentially the home guard, the Lord and his soldiers must be styling and profiling. I'm quite pleased with how these boys turned out. Although if I were to start over, I'd only use Ranger proxies as a physical base, instead of the Rohan ones. So the warband looks more uniform, and in keeping with both their command models as well as their Gondorian roots.
And I'm Joe from Windrush Wargamers, and I cheated and did Harondor as opposed to a proper fiefdom.
Oh well, there's always one.
Yeah, I know. Not take me anywhere. Harondor means South Gondor in Sindarin and is located below Ithilien and borders the realms of Harad. Choosing this region would mean I would have complete control over the tone of the miniatures, and I could explore some very different cultures. It was my excuse to do kind of Greco-Roman style
Gondorian type troops. So it was
Harad
basically an excuse. I just bent the rules to to allow.
I thought that given their proximity to Harad and the hot climate, I could fit a lot of the miniatures with turbans. For this, I used the Harad line. These will scale really nicely because they're from the same miniatures range, whilst keeping the miniatures very anchored to Arda. I then began Google searching for inspiration. Many of these vaguely Spartan-esque Gondor warriors took my fancy. I personally think of old Numenor as the ancient empires of Greek and Rome, and to have this line could show the kind of conservatism and the rugged, dogged nature of these warriors who are holding on to what is debatable region at this point. To achieve this vaguely Greco-Roman look, I had to outsource some of the parts from outside of the Middle-earth range. For this, I chose the Vitric Spartan Hoplite. These gave a really nice range of helmets and breastplates, as well as the infamous shield and spear. I wanted every soldier in the warband to feel unique. I used different combinations of heads, torsos, arms, and legs to achieve this look. I wanted to make it look like they were using antique armour, perhaps from different eras, perhaps pass-me-downs from father to son. People that have stood, and defended the realm of Gondor against Harad for many years. Many of the breastplates were taken from the Minas Tirith range. This would give us the infamous White Tree of Gondor, and really tie us back to that Gondorian region. For a warband captain, I use this plumed helmet, utilising the cape as well. Unlike some of the other fiefdoms that my friends are doing, there isn't really much written about the region of Harondor as far as I can tell, so I can't give this guy a name, but maybe he's like a ginger Leonidas. The colour scheme was very much inspired by this piece of artwork here. I really like the red and the kind of dark green colour. It gives a really regal look and is really different to anything I've really painted before in terms of scheme. Painting was done using the traditional method. I primed in grey and then I built up the colours each one, highlighting, using washes and glazes to blend the colours together. For whatever reason, I couldn't really picture these guys carrying a banner. I picture them, ironically, even though they're wearing gold armour, to be kind of skirmish fighters, kind of hit and run against a lot more numerous foes. And the thought of a banner just didn't really make much sense to me. I did, however, decide to give them a war horn for their extra courage. Fortunately, the Vitrix Spartans had me covered, as it comes with an aulus, which is obviously the ancient Greek kind of recorder. I'm not even sure what it is. But it looks very cool. For the basing, I decided to use this Geek Gaming Scenics base ready range, because in my mind it looks quite like the Pelennor Fields. A few finishing touches, I used some dried grass tufts. All that was left was to paint the base rim Mornfang brown. And here they are all finished up. In terms of the profile, I would probably use them as Minas Tirith warriors, that way they get the shield wall, but if you were feeling really frisky, maybe you could throw in Hatred Harad. If you haven't checked out the other guys' videos yet, make sure you do, they've done a really good job, really outstanding miniatures there.
Alright, I am JMax Armies of Middle-earth, and I have done Peneth Gellin.
I am Cameron, also known as Paints on a 4-Up, and I have done the Ether Anduin.
We had a blast on this community challenge. This project was great fun, we got to make fun miniatures, dive deep into the lore, speculate wildly, make excuses, meet some like-minded people, and have some really fun conversations. John, Cam, you've been gentlemen, thanks so much. And thanks again, John, for selecting us. So, let me know what you think of them in the comments below. I want to hear, have you made any other fiefdoms that aren't explored in the miniatures range? Let us know how you achieved it and what profiles you used if you did. I've been Joe from Windrush Wargamers.
And I've been Nick from Windrush Wargamers.
Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe. Check out the rest of our stuff. Catch you in the next one.